shift gears now and get into our podcast feature. This one's going to be a little different than what we've done in the past, mainly because this is by no means a lesser known podcast. This is probably one of the best podcasts. I say best, probably one of the most prolific podcasts, and Piers Morgan is well known. I'm trying to avoid putting like Joe Rogan in this segment because, I mean, you've probably heard of it. However, the reason I do listen to a lot of Piers, and I was thinking about this when I decided to put this clip and this particular to make this the podcast feature. The reason I did that was because I've noticed that Piers seems to be having more and more people on there that are, I don't know if lesser known is the right word, but who aren't, it's not as structured as like a CNN, Fox News, and he gets a wide range of views on topics, and I find myself what I like about it is I find myself hearing from both sides when I listen, or I say both sides as if there's only two, but from multiple sides of a conversation. And I really, really appreciate that from Piers Morgan's show. It's called Piers Morgan Uncensored. If you've never listened to it, it gets out of control. I'll tell you, sometimes I'll be listening to this, and what I would love is if he could come up with a way to keep people from arguing across each other, like 3 minutes for you, 2 minutes for you. And, Piers is good at it, but it gets to a point where he'll allow people to argue back and forth, but then there's a delay. So it seems like he brings a lot of these people in through streaming, which is fine, but there's a slight delay on the stream. And so a lot of times you'll spend 10 minutes of him just going like stop, let's not argue. And it's like that when that happens, it's unfortunate. I think that usually happens when he has his most uncredible guests who are just trying to get on the platform and make a name for themselves. It does seem like some of the people are a little bit extra. Is that what the kids are saying? It seems like some people are a little bit more extra just to get that clip on his show because he is so big. But all that to say this, I was listening to, I should have looked this up and I didn't. I don't know who is in this clip, but it's a recent episode from this week. I mean, I guess I could look it up. I kind of feel like it's a waste of my time though. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. It was Piers. Kind of a waste of time. I was going to look this up beforehand and I didn't. I decided not to. That's it right there. Is it Josh Hammer? Let's see. I don't know. It was Owen Jones versus Josh Hammer. I'm not sure which one I have in this particular clip, to be honest. But I thought this was interesting because the contradiction, when somebody contradicts themselves in the scope of one sentence, I find that fascinating. And so what I want to do is I want to share this clip and make sure I have it. Yeah, okay. So let's do that. Well, that's the best I'm going to be able to do. Hopefully it shows up where I think I had it clipped in the right spot. So this clip I'm going to share with you, the person who's talking just was describing, his opponent was talking about how Israel has caused the genocide in Gaza. And he's responding to that. And I love the way he does this because it's so contradictory, and it's really a microcosm of how people think, and how we have a bias towards our own viewpoint, and it's invisible to us. But listen to this. He's gonna first call for a lowering of like, I'll play the clip and then I'll come back to it. I gotta pause it in the middle though.
But what we should strive to is get to a point where we are operating within the Overton window of normal discourse, of non-hyperbolic, of non-catastrophic discourse.
Now, I'm stopping right there for a reason. He's saying we need to stop using hyperbolic, chaotic, or catastrophic discourse. And he's talking about how people talk about what's happening in Gaza, right? Like, he's basically saying you guys are blowing this out of proportion, right? And we need to get to a point where we have normal discourse, where we're not like at the extremes of the conversation. Now, listen to how he describes the October 7th attack.
This is a war, and lest we forget, lest the viewers forget, it is a war started by Hamas.
Now, I want to stop there because one of the things about this war that's interesting is the war, we've been told that we've been at war for 40-something years, and like they keep coming back to October 7th, and that's when the war started. Like, that's not when the war started. I mean, either Israel and Hamas have been at war or they haven't been, right? The war didn't start on October 7th. Certainly not for the U.S. We had the 12-day war last year. We're into this war, which is now heading towards, what is the date? We're about 2 weeks away from this being 6 months into this war or conflict. So it's like the conversation on this is weird. But remember, he said we need to get away from hyperbolic, catastrophic discussion. And now he's going to describe what happened on October 7th.
It was a war started on October 7, 2023. Lest we forget, there was a ceasefire, a full ceasefire in Gaza on October 6, 2000.
I want to stop there because lest we forget there was a ceasefire. I think we all know that ceasefire means absolutely nothing. Ceasefire in the context of what's happening in the Middle East right now means let's all take a moment and reload our guns. That's what it means. I mean, we've watched that with Trump and Iran and Israel doing their ceasefire. There's never a ceasefire. That's all bull crap. We know that. We've seen that over the last 6 months. But it's like, oh, they broke a ceasefire. That's what they do. That's what they all do over there. Like, we did the same thing to them. It's just like whatever.
23. What happened on October 7th was the equivalent of dozens of 9/11. If this had happened, let's call it Texas, if you had thousands of Sinaloa cartel commanders who came across the border and just blindly mutilated and raped and butchered. They put babies in ovens. They executed women point blank range on their home. How would the United States respond? But
what he's saying in that clip is whether or not you agree with what happened or his description of how bad October 7th was. That's not the point. The point is he's in almost the same breath. I mean, literally the same breath saying we need to get away from hyperbolic, catastrophic conversation. And then in the same breath, he's going to turn around and say what happened on October 7th was dozens of 9/11s. And that description in terms of death count or whatever may be true. He says babies being burned, and then the person he's arguing with will say that was one person, etc. I don't know the details, but what I found fascinating about it was to lecture your opponent on hyperbolic, catastrophic language, and we need to get back to normal discourse, and then to say that in the next breath is wild. It's wild. And what I wrote was I wrote in my notes, it's only genocide when they do it. Because it's like they don't like the word genocide. And I don't know the legal definition. I don't know. Like, I've heard the argument on both sides, and it's like it seems like when the people who are arguing, when somebody says it's a genocide, what's happened in Gaza is basically a genocide. Then the people who disagree are like, it doesn't reach the level of the legal level of a genocide. It's like, do you hear yourself, right? Like, it's like when you're defending whether or not the killing reaches the level of genocide, you do realize morally and ethically where we're at that point, right? Like, it's close, but not quite. Like, I mean, what's the argument, guys? What's the argument? But then to say, how dare you call what happened in Gaza a genocide when what happened on October 7th was 12 9/11s? Like, either we are or we're not getting away from hyperbolic, catastrophic discourse. And it's like, again, I go back to the reason I wanted to share this clip is because it just shows how people are looking at things from their own perspective all the time. And it's so hard. Like when I listen to these shows, next week I am going to spend quite a bit of time talking about Candace Owens' debate with Andrew Wilson. I've seen clips. I haven't watched the whole thing, so I'm going to refrain from commenting this week on it. It's actually going to be my long run today. I'm going to listen to that. But what's coming out of that debate, Candace Owens versus Andrew Wilson, is everybody who agreed with Candace Owens before this debate still agrees with her and thinks Andrew lost. And everyone who agreed with Andrew before the debate got on there and was like, "Oh, he destroyed Candace." It's like, no minds up. As far as I haven't seen anybody say, "Wow, I went into this thinking that Candace was an idiot, and now I think Andrew's the idiot," or vice versa. Like I don't see that comment yet, and I haven't seen the debate, so I can't comment. But this is the same thing. And as I was listening to this, I literally laughed out loud at this because I was actually agreeing with the first half of like, yeah, we should probably couch this in terms like, first of all, this is war, so trying to pull at people's heartstrings with like terms like genocide when it's not really a genocide, it's just war, and it's just war is bad, but it is war. I understand like it's going to be a lot better to have this debate, discussion, conversation if we just lower the temperature of the conversation. It's kind of like when people compare something to Hitler or Nazis or Germany. It's like you're being hyperbolic, right? You're being catastrophic. And so like up to that point, I was like, yeah, no, he's probably right. We probably should dial that back a little bit. And then he goes and does it in the same breath with October 7th. And it's like, okay, it's like you can't criticize your opponent for doing something and then turn around and do the exact same thing. But again, it goes back to, it's like, it's only genocide when they do it. It's only whenever we do something, it's all defensive, talking about Israel. But when they do it, it's an egregious violation of international law or something like that. It's like, regardless of what position, like what it should be is an objective. Like if Israel does it, it's wrong. And if Iran does it, it's wrong. Like that should be how it works, but it's not. It's not how it works. A lot of people are like, they're so biased that they can't see that. And it goes back to, I'm still trying to get to episode, I think it was 7, where I talked about the infinite defense theory, where when one country does something bad, they forever can say that they're in defense mode. And both sides do that. They're like, oh, well, Israel did one thing once, so now we're just defending ourselves. Or Iran did this one thing once. It's like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing people like, oh, this country chants death to America. It's like, do they still? I don't know. Like, it just seems like something you heard in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s, and you're just kicking that out there as a justification for your war, and you're actually pulling economic strings right now and trying to gain an advantage over China by messing with the Strait of Hormuz. That's what it looks like to me. And you're just trying to garner the American people's support for it with nonsense like that. So yeah, like I look at it and it's like, normally I probably wouldn't use Piers Morgan because it's such a big podcast as our podcast feature, but that contradiction, it's one thing if someone does it, like at the beginning of the episode, they say, oh, we need to get away from this hyperbolic, catastrophic conversation. And then at the end of the episode, they then do it. You'd be like, but literally in the same breath, this guy does, you need to stop that. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. Like, bro, like, come on. Like these are, it's like, that's the kind of thing that inspires me to do this because I can do that. I can be that hypocritical in my own conversation. Like I can at least avoid that level of pure hypocritical conversation. So.
No quit. Building their wall. While they talk about us. All they talk about us. Educated. Experienced. Still not credible. So we embraced it. Now we're uncredible.